Will a second stimulus check put as much as at least $2,500 in the hands of Uber drivers right away? This is an LALATE update for May 6th. As always, like and subscribe to this channel. We're taking your questions and we're also delivering you some major updates today. Really shocking news. As we hinted yesterday, a major lawsuit was brewing on the West Coast, and today details filtered out. LALATE reached out to one of the parties that filed the lawsuit, the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office. And here are the details. If you are an Uber driver, you might be seeing at least $2,500 coming back to you, future benefits financially, and also major medical benefits as well. It's a lot of stuff, and it's this and more that is being alleged in a major lawsuit filed yesterday by California State Attorney General's office, joined in with the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office and several local city attorneys' offices here in California. It alleges that those of you who are Uber and Lyft drivers had your rights violated by the corporations, Uber and Lyft, and that you should have been treated as an employee, gotten a lot more money, gotten a lot more financial benefits, and going forward should get the same. It also alleges allegations of antitrust and unfair treatment as the seniors. As a result, the lawsuit is seeking to put money back in your pocket right away. But what makes this fascinating, before we get to the details of this lawsuit, is that it is not just a lawsuit, it is also a movement on Capitol Hill. Members of parties, both parties, are trying to pass legislation against Uber and Lyft for the same regard in CARES Act 2 that would also provide money to you. A second stimulus check, most people usually think, is that $2,000 check that could be coming to members of individual households in the month of June to pay for the month of May. And we've all talked about that second stimulus check. There could be six second stimulus checks as proposed, $12,000. There could be one stimulus check. There could be a $500 stimulus check for every child in a household, up to 3 children. That's a lot of what is being talked about on Capitol Hill as to a second stimulus check. But the second stimulus check part of the CARES package is also talking about putting money back into certain types of businesses' hands right away. And one of them, and I know a lot of you are this because I see it in the comments, are Uber and Lyft drivers. Congress wants to put money in your pockets because they don't think you've been treated correctly. But the new lawsuit obtained by LALATE today wants to do the same for you as well. Let's turn to that lawsuit. California State Attorney General Xavier Becerra filed the lawsuit yesterday, seeking to classify 500,000 of you as employees to get financial benefits and also to get medical benefits. Becerra said during a press conference, at the end of the day, no business model should hang its success on mistreating its workers and not playing by the rules. What's at issue here is a 2018 landmark Supreme Court decision called the Dynamex decision. It created a 3-part test by which corporations to this day try to determine whether to classify you as an independent contractor or as an employee. The State Attorney General's office and the lawsuit alleges that under that test you are an employee and that you should have been paid a lot more money than you were paid. They want, under the lawsuit, that Lyft and Uber to choke up wages going way back to the very beginning. It wants those wages to be refunded to the employees for the past 4 years. Second, the lawsuit claims that Uber and Lyft violated California's antitrust law by misclassifying the employees as independent contractors. Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Feuer, in a statement, said misclassification means cheating. How much is the lawsuit seeking to put in your pocket? It's seeking to put $2,500 for every act of unfair competition, presumably for each driver. and another $2,500 for every violation against a senior citizen. How much could this be? The lawsuit alleges hundreds of millions of dollars. Uber issued a very brief and virtually non-responsive answer today to the allegations. The press statement said, "We're looking forward to working with the attorney generals and mayors across the state to bring all the benefits of California's innovation economy to as many workers as possible, especially during this time, with the creation of good jobs with access to affordable health care and other benefits is more important than ever." Of course, the question is, why weren't they provided before? Those benefits were needed more than ever in March when coronavirus hit. Those benefits for you financially, for your salaries, or for your checks, for your drives, was needed more than ever back in March. And whether you contracted coronavirus, or a member of your household contracted coronavirus, or you had your job workplace reduced because of coronavirus, that was needed more than ever then in March. Uber has been late to get to the game in dealing with the situation. The statement says, "We will continue to contest this action in court while at the same time pushing to raise the standards of independent work for drivers in California, including guaranteed minimum earnings with new benefits." It says we will continue to push to raise the standard. Well, again, it seems to suggest that they are defaulting back to still classifying you as an independent contractor. But what really is the standard? The lawsuit alleges that the standard is you are an employee and that you should have been paid a lot more money and that you are entitled to a lot of money back, at least $2,500 per Uber driver. The issue is whether the sledgehammer against Uber and Lyft could come sooner and CARES Act 2. Members of Congress are dealing with really the same issue. They want to ensure that going forward, when lockdowns are raised and Uber drivers get back to the road, that they are paid really as a Uber employee, not as an Uber independent contractor. This has caused a realm of confusion on this channel. I can attest to the universe of comments from Uber and Lyft drivers has stemmed from, I applied for PUA and I thought Uber and Lyft was my employer, so I listed them as my employer and they're addressed. Someone actually worried that they put Uber's contact information and was routing it to Uber. Basically, what happens when you are an employer with W-2 employees, you pay payroll taxes. And what's happening now is a lot of you, as Uber and Lyft drivers, can't drive or have not been able to drive because of coronavirus and are entitled to benefits. You're entitled to PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Benefits, $600 per week from the federal government and including the minimum benefit from your state, which is approximately $139 to $189. You're entitled to that. But here's the catch. If Uber or Lyft had been treating you as an employee, they would have been paying your payroll taxes all along to your state, so that when the pandemic approached and you were unable to work, there would be all these funds in the state to pay you for unemployment assistance as an employee. The situation we have here now is that you are unable to drive as an Uber or Lyft driver, and as a result, you're entitled to PUA. But that PUA is exhausting state funds, and those state funds should have existed there, allegedly, had Uber or Lyft categorized you as an employee. Independent contractors, if you are a painter, you don't record payroll benefits to your state. So if something happens to you as an independent contractor, whether you own your own business as an S corporation or an LLC or a DBA, if something happens to you because of your business and you become unemployed, there is no fund to provide you benefits on a state level. PUA was passed by members of Congress as a unique benefit in this coronavirus to help unemployed, self-employed individuals. But would have happened had you been an Uber driver categorized as an employee. For 4 years, Uber would have been paying all these payroll taxes to the state of California, if that's where you are. And when the pandemic hit, you would have applied for unemployment benefits, and the state would have had that money there in its war chest for all those 4 years, ready to pay you benefits. Now it doesn't. You see how it unfolds very quickly. It impacts the federal government in another regard. The federal government under PUA is paying you $600 per week if you qualify for PUA and you've got certified for PUA and you're getting the check from PUA. Now, the federal government is paying money out to you for PUA that it would not have had to have picked up or potentially compounded on top of it had allegedly Uber or Lyft been treating you as an employee. It is a financial domino maze in which one problem, starting from the very beginning, in which Uber or Lyft had you working more than 80 hours per month, but not treating you as an employee and not treating you as a W-2, ended up treating you as an independent contractor and then not giving you any further financial benefits. When we talk about a second stimulus check, we're talking about everyone. We're not just talking about Uber drivers. We're talking about everyone from unemployed individuals to single parents taking control of their household and trying to get through this pandemic, to small business owners, to successful business owners. Everyone is entitled to a second stimulus check, but as you have commented on this channel yesterday and all this week, it seems like only the rich people are getting the benefits. These major corporations have the audacity to appear on channels like CNBC to talk about how they got millions of dollars from the PPP loan, many of which got it through JP Morgan Chase, through the same banking institution over and over again, and said they gave it back because they made a mistake. They made a mistake, or did they get caught? That's the big question. They got millions of dollars by using accountants in which accountants knew what the system was qualifying them for. And what they did was they misclassified themselves. It seems like misclassification is very common this day and age. These big corporations knew that PPP loan under the first stimulus package was to be provided for businesses 500 employees or less. So what did they do? They did a workaround. They misclassified themselves and saying they had 20 locations with 500 employees each. Let's apply for 20 PPP loans. And they did. And they got the money. Sound fishy? They thought it was fine until someone caught them. In this case, they were publicly traded companies. They had SEC filings. They had to file it. And news reporters picked it up. LALATE was one of the first to pick it up. We ran it. We ran it on a Friday. No one had heard about it yet. At that time, there was only 3 businesses, 3 Fortune 500 companies. And you got to understand, these are companies that have access to money like it's wind in the sky. They can issue a bond offering. They can go to private lenders. They can get term loans. They can get anything. They're not like you. And what they did was they abused the system. They abuse the system. And this is another point I'm going to tell you right now on this channel only that very few people tell you anywhere else. When these businesses like Shake Shack abuse the system and take PPP money that they should not have taken, then they say, oh, we're sorry. Or maybe they don't say, I'm sorry. They say we made a mistake. And they give it back. You know where it goes? It doesn't go to you. It doesn't go to the next PPP applicant. In fact, it goes nowhere. New evidence that LALATE exposed last week is that when monies were funded to PPP by applicants who were told to return it, it does not go back into a fund. So when the Lakers got that money, it did not go back into a fund for a local business down the street in Inglewood or for a local business down the street in downtown LA. When Jeannie Buss and the Lakers organization took that money and got it, one of the worst PR fiascos in the sports industry ever, and turned it back into SBA, it did not go back into the fund. So here we have a second stimulus package, second stimulus check, a lot of details There's so much going on, and we are here to help you. We understand there's a lot of questions and concerns, so as always, drop your comments below, and we will try to get them in tomorrow's video. As always, stay with LALATE for more.